What's up guys, Manny from Motomillion. Honda just revealed a new Fireblade at EICMA and they call it a big step forward. I want to know if it's worth it. So the 2024 Fireblade, or the CBR1000RR-R Fireblade SP, has been revealed. And it was anticipated that Honda is going to do something with this bike because they weren't doing too well in the racing series. And just like the Panigale V4R and the M1000RR by BMW, this is a homologation bike for World Superbike, and Honda had to do something to be competitive. So Honda Racing Corporation, HRC, gave a bunch of inputs to Honda, which produces the bikes, and they revised the bike a little bit, or I think it's quite a bit of revisions. What's the revisions? The bodywork has new winglets on it. Before, the winglets were integrated onto the fairings, which visually it was really sleek, but I guess they were not doing the job as they wanted to. And now they switched to the more traditional winglets that we're used to seeing on motorcycles. And Honda claims the winglets have the same downforce, but the steering feels less heavy. I guess this must have been some feedback they received from the riders. Mind you, I guess heavy steering feel probably is associated with a bike that is tiring to ride. But aside from the looks, I think most of the changes happen internally on the bike and chassis-wise. The Honda now has a new head, which has new camshaft profile, new valve springs, and some different ports that give it more power, and the power actually is achieved at a lower RPM. I don't know the exact figures, but if you want to dig deep, the figures are out there. I don't want to bore you with a bunch of numbers, but I remember the power figures at 215 horsepower. Internally, they changed the crankshaft pin and journal diameter, saving them a pound in the engine. Furthermore, there's new rods that save a little over half a pound. Again, these might not sound like crazy numbers, but when you think of the whole rotating assembly, this does actually mean quite a bit. Also, to grab an engine that was so high performance to begin with and make these changes to make it lighter, I think it's a big difference. Also, furthermore, the improvements go along with the chassis of the bike, where they've actually made the chassis less rigid, because don't forget guys, so it's not like cars and motorcycles. A chassis that is flexible is actually a chassis that gives a lot of feedback to riders, and also they could tweak the bike around the suspension when the chassis is flexible. With some changes to the chassis, I think they've used some thinner walls and they made some cutouts on the frames, and we've seen Ducati do this on their V4 models, where now all V4s have the big cutout on the frame. Honda's gone the same route and made some tweaks in the chassis. But also furthermore, there's also changes in the seating position of the bike. The foot pegs are lower and the clip-ons are a little bit higher, which tweak the whole rider position on the motorcycle. So now that we went over all the changes for the new 2024 Fireblade, is it worth it? Do I think it's worth it? Well, let me tell you this. So let's go back in time a little bit. I was a 2009 Repsol 1000 rider. And at the time, that was the bike to have. I think it was the most exciting street bike to own, at least in North America, because again, these markets are so different. It's hard to speak for other markets, but I grew up in North America, and in here, it was the bike to have. And in 2020, when the new Fireblade was released, I was really, really excited about it, because I had a lot of memories with that Repsol 1000. And I really wanted to have that kind of feeling, or there's memories back, because it was really good times with that motorcycle. And when I rode that new Fireblade, I remember all those memories started coming back, because the bike felt like it was an improvement, or there was something in that bike that you could feel that it reminded me of that Repsol 1000. But I think the biggest handicap of it was the price point. That's why I think it's not just me, but the consumer didn't end up getting this bike, and it sat at the dealers, and it wasn't as successful as Honda wanted to in terms of sales figures. Was this Fireblade SP was too expensive. And also for us here at Motomillion, there was so many things going on. There was so much more exciting motorcycles that was being released by BMW and Ducati, that it kind of took away that shine away from the new Fireblade. And it's fair to say it's also with the consumers, because it's very rare that we see people with Fireblades, and in the US, there is no regular model. So you have to get an SP. You have to spend that $28,000 odd plus taxes and fees. So it was a $30,000 bike at any given day, that it really didn't happen for it. And let's not forget, BMW, I think the S1000 has become that Fireblade of the older generation, where it's the bike that everyone gets, and it's the exciting bike for the masses. But for some weird people like me who think the Panigale V4 is more exciting, that was also the bike to get if you didn't want to just go with the S1000. So the Fireblade was kind of pushed aside. And let's fast forward to 2024, where this bike will be released. I think the looks wise, it's very intriguing, because the old Fireblade had those winglets that was integrated into the design. Maybe it wasn't as attractive, and I'm going to be very honest, maybe me not liking Marquez as much as some other riders, I kind of was not into the whole brand of things, because the heritage and the history of a brand really means something to me. It's that intangible thing that makes me want to hop on a motorcycle. And I always say this with the Ducatis that I ride, that it's those things that's not tangible that really makes it that exciting, great motorcycle. But now that Marquez is out of the picture, maybe, you know, but all jokes aside, I really think that visually it's more appealing for sure, because those winglets look cool. And again, this is my opinion. You guys might have another opinion. I respect your opinion. You should put it in the comments below what you guys really think. But it's really hard to judge if all the technical or on all the internal changes that they've made, because I've been wrong in the past, right? The 2023 Panigale V4R was released, and Ducati was calling it this crazy new bike, and I was like, whatever, it's the same bike. And when I rode the bike, if you guys saw that video of me comparing it to the SP2, it was really mind-blowing. And those are the things that we don't know until we get the bike. But till Honda announces the pricing, because at this point, yes, the pricing is a factor, because $28,000, if it's around the same price. So 3 years ago, this is 2023 right now. 3 years ago, $28,000 was a lot more money than it is today, especially for a super bike. So I think if Honda sticks around the 28,000 lower 30s, I could see us Motomillion getting one. And I think we are going to be getting one, just because the new bike has intrigued me enough to be like, hey, let's jump on this. And as I mentioned, the heritage aspect of it, Honda kind of missed the boat with that special model that they're going to release, the 300 run of the carbon models that are not coming to the US, because Honda has such a long lineage and such a long history with racing that they could have done something really special with that special edition. So I think that leaves the room open for us to be able to get a new Fireblade SP and do a really cool build. I'm not really going to spill the beans. This has been on the back burner, and it's been on my mind for quite a long time to do something special, but you guys have to wait and see. But I think at this point, given the price point that we talked about, I think it's intriguing enough to be worth it, and worth for us to jump into a build and get one of these new SPs to see what we could do with it. But also, let's not forget, in terms of Ducati and BMW, which are the relevant bikes in the superbike field, that there is not much going on, and there's not much that has been released for 2024 that gets us excited. So maybe this is the time for Honda. I know this is the time for us to jump on a Honda, and I really want to know what you guys think. So please leave your thoughts in the comments below. I do read all the comments, and I try to reply to them as much as possible. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Until next time, guys, have a good one.